Hello everyone, and welcome back to the restoration of the cabinet here of the Telefunken Operette. Last week you saw me sanding the entire cabinet, and honestly it turned out pretty okay. The only thing I noticed, and I also mentioned in the last video, was this staining I have here in the veneer, and here as well, here in this corner. And I thought a bit about it, and I'm gonna try and clean it up with a magic eraser. So this is a magic eraser, and this has the capability of lifting dirt out of the grooves of the veneer, so out of the wood. Now it depends a bit if it is really dirt that it's inside, or if the wood is discolored. If the wood is really discolored, then I don't think this will work. But yeah, I'm gonna try it and we'll see how it turns out. The only issue is I can't really try it in a spot which is not visible, because there are basically no spots which aren't visible. Now the thing with this magic eraser here is that it's actually melamine foam. The special properties about this, that although it feels really soft, it feels just like a sponge, when you get it a bit wet, it starts getting the same properties as extremely fine sanding paper. So yeah, you have to be a bit careful with it, because suddenly it feels like it's doing nothing, and then suddenly it starts acting like sanding paper and you're really sanding. So if you're using this on a surface which has a lacquer or a paint, you are going to take off the lacquer or the paint. So you have to be a bit careful with it, but you really have to see it as a type of sanding paper. But it's a bit more than that. It's maybe a bit like 3D sanding paper, so it can sand in the grooves of the wood, in the grain of the wood. So I hope that I will be able to take out the dirt here in this wood. To be 100% sure that I'm not staining the wood with anything, I'm gonna use a bit of distilled water to make it wet, because you have to use it wet. And if you're using just regular tap water, then maybe you are creating maybe some stains in the wood, and I really want to avoid that. So this is just regular distilled water, and we're gonna use it here on a spot where the stains are clearly visible, maybe like over here, and see what it gives. You do have to, oh look, it's cleaning off something. You do have to have a bit of patience, because it will, at a certain point, it'll suddenly start working. Just in the beginning it looks like it's doing nothing, but then after a while it will suddenly start working. Doesn't really look like it's doing anything at the moment. Ah, see, now it's creating this milky substance, so that's a sign that the magic eraser is working, so that's a good sign. But it doesn't look like the stain is coming out. Yeah, maybe a bit. Okay, let's clean it up a bit. Also distilled water. I'm now gonna leave this to dry and then see if it has helped something, but I don't think it helped a lot because I still see the stain here coming through. So okay, yeah, so it has dried up, and you can clearly see that the stain is not completely gone, but I have the impression that it's slightly better, especially here in this area. I have the impression that it's better. Here I also tried a bit, and you can clearly see that it is discolored a bit because it also took away obviously a bit of the color of the old varnish that was still on there. That's not a bad thing. But I also have the impression that here it's also slightly better. So I think I'm gonna continue and try to do as much as I can here with the magic eraser and try to get as much of these stains out as I can. Yeah, and then see where we end up. I'm probably not gonna get them all out completely, but it looks like see here, there is almost nothing anymore of the stain on here, and this is the place where I polished the most, so it might work, it might work. Okay, so it has dried, and I have to say the result is really good. I was not expecting it to be this good. I mean, if you look very closely, you can still see a bit of staining right over here. And here you have also a spot which is a bit darker. But yeah, it's much, much better than it was. And like the stains which were in a different direction, like perpendicular to the grain of the wood, they are completely gone. And those are the most noticeable, of course. Yeah, I really like the result. That this is a bit darker here, that doesn't really matter that much because yeah, the color of the wood will not be even everywhere all the time, so that doesn't really, you won't pay attention to that. But yeah, you can also see a slight bit of staining still right here, but yeah, it's so lightly now that I think if I'm going to put a layer of colored lacquer over it, that you won't see it anymore. I have to say, I did a very light sand at the end, just to get everything a bit more evenly, because you could see like the edges of where I stopped with the magic eraser. So I just gave it a very light sand, and I think this is, like it is right now, it's pretty okay. See, from another angle here, it's, yeah, as good as it's gonna get, I think. So it's ready to be lacquered. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tape off everything which doesn't need to be sprayed black, because the first thing I'm gonna do is spraying black the inside here and the sides here. So I'm just gonna tape off everything, and also here this border I'm gonna paint that one black as well, so that I can start. That's the first thing I'm gonna do, paint everything black which needs to be black, and then afterwards we're gonna start with the colored lacquer for the cabinet. But before I do that, I thought I'm going to put a layer of clear lacquer here on the bottom of the cabinet, because you see, yeah, obviously it's the same type of wood as on the inside on the bottom, and I just want to stop it from flicking off. It's not as bad as on the inside, but I still want to I'm going to put a layer of clear lacquer on it just to fixate everything and to make sure that you don't get any splinters in your fingers when you're picking up the radio. But because now it's not really comfortable, see, if you want to pick up the radio. So remember here on the back side of the cabinet veneer was chipping off a bit, so I just filled it with some wood filler. I'm now going to sand it so that I can mask the top as well, because I want to paint um, the back side of the cabinet black here. Here there was also some veneer coming loose on the left side here, on the outer side of the cabinet, so I also glued it back, clamped it together and let it dry. And then there were also here the corners, which I touched up with some wood filler that I'm now going to sand here on this side as well. And I already tried to form the corner as much as possible with the wood filler, but I still need to sand it. And that's the most important thing that I still need to do, and before I can obviously paint the entire edge black. So this is the side where the veneer was loose. Here is where I glued it back, and yeah, it looks okay. So it's not loose anymore, so it worked out quite well. And this is the corner here that I repaired, and that's also pretty okay. So I'm not gonna completely get it flat on this side, because we have this crappy wooden panel here at the bottom, which isn't flat at all. But the most important thing is that this side here is flat, and that's definitely the case. So I'm happy with that. And this is how the other corner turned out after sanding. That's also pretty nice. The bottom side doesn't really matter that much. It's mainly the back side and the left and the the left side of the radio here. Yeah, I'm also pretty happy with this. So I think now it's time to paint all the black part here. So I sprayed this black, this outer border on the back side of the cabinet, with 2 layers of spray paint, and the result is quite okay. I already removed the masking tape here on this side, and yeah, it's looking much better than it was before. So that's quite okay. I still have to do now the front here, the same thing here on the outer rim on the front side. And there were also some holes here from woodworm. Yeah, see, there was a bit of woodworm damage here, which I filled and sanded. So this is also ready to be painted on that side as well. A bit less, but still. Yeah, the inside has also been painted black 2 times, 2 layers. So especially here, these sides, they are quite important because they are visible from the front, from the outside of the radio. So I'm just gonna unwrap everything, take off all the wrapping paper, and then we can check the result. All right, look at this. See these edges here, they are now really nicely, completely evenly black. And the woodworm holes are also fixed. Here I also repaired 2 holes of woodworm. I still need to sand that flat, but here I have a bit of spillover paint, but that doesn't really matter because there is a brass here of like 1/2 centimeter wide which covers this, so that's not a problem. Yeah. See, so this is really a very nice improvement over what it was. The edges here are much cleaner now than what they were, and also here the bottom plate here, now this was chipping off before, now it's yeah, it's not 100% perfectly flat, but that's not important. The important thing is that it's not chipping off anymore and that it's nice, clean and even. So now before putting on the lacquer, I think there are a couple of places here, so these things here where I where the wood was chipped off and which I refilled with wood filler. I think I better put some wood coloring on this first before I put on the colored lacquer, because otherwise I think you will, yeah, you will still see the difference in color here. It's annoying because this wood filler, they sell it in all different kinds of colors of brown, from very light to very dark brown, but then when you sand it they just turn white. So it's a bit weird, a bit stupid, but I think the best thing here is to just color this a bit before putting the lacquer on it. And it's on some other places as well. Yeah, so I have some wood coloring here. Really old. I have no clue how old it is. Probably as old as the radio. But I think it should work. I mean, I've used it before on previous radios, so it should work. Yeah, let's see. It's quite easy to do. Just apply it with a brush on the part that you filled with the wood filler, and then you just wipe it off a bit, the excess, with a rag. And do this a couple of times. Yeah, you'll never get it exactly equal, but at least you'll get it closer. See, it's slightly better already. It's not white anymore. I'm not gonna get it completely close, obviously, but it's better. See, same thing here as well. These edges which I retouched with wood filler, just color them a bit, that they are a bit darker and not as light as this, so then when the varnish is on top, the varnish is colored, so then you don't have this huge difference in color anymore. This is just really, really fine sanding paper. Maybe even steel wool would be better. See, so the result is, I mean, it's not gonna hide the filler, but it's just gonna make sure that it's more or less the same tint and color. So this is not white anymore, it's now the same type of beige, let's say, as the wood itself. And while I have the cabinet on its side, I'm now also going to glue this piece of veneer which chipped off here. I'm gonna glue it back as well. Okay, so this has been drying like this, clamped for a couple of hours, so let's take it off and see what's what's underneath. Yeah, so this needs a bit of very careful sanding, and but for the rest I think it looks okay. I managed to glue back the original piece of veneer that was missing here, except for some small pieces which I didn't have, which I replaced with some of the veneer which chipped off on the top of the cabinet, like a small piece here, for example, and a small piece over there. But I think it turned out quite well. So now let's give it carefully a quick sand and then let's see how it turns out. See, you can, if you look carefully and if you know where the edge of the veneer is that I repaired, then you can still see it. But yeah, I think really this is as good as it's gonna get. No way that you will notice this once there is the new lacquer on the cabinet. Really, really happy with this result. So in the meantime, I've been enjoying myself, not really, with cleaning up all the brass parts. So for example, here the holder for the magic eye and the tuning knobs and everything. And because everything was so incredibly tarnished that I decided to try something new. So took a bit of a different approach and I coated everything in a mixture of vinegar, salt, and flour. And it forms a sort of paste. Put it on all the brass parts, and then I left it, there for like an hour or so. Then I just rinsed everything off and cleaned everything with normal dishwasher soap. And then everything comes out not like this, but more like this one over here. You see, it's not completely perfect yet, but the worst tarnishing is already removed because this one here, it was completely black. You hardly even noticed the difference between the brass part and the Bakelite part here. And then if you need to polish this manually, it takes a lot of effort to polish it. So that's why I now decided to, let's say, call in the help of chemistry with this mixture of salt and vinegar. And actually, you see, most of the tarnishing is gone. And what you can now do is the last polishing, which you can do manually. It goes very quick and it's very easy to do this last polishing. Also, here is the brass part which is around on the front of the radio. This was also completely black, and I also coated it in this mixture of salt and vinegar. And yeah, you see, it's not perfect yet, but it's way better than before. And the worst part is gone. So this means that now the normal polishing will go much faster. What you can now do is you can just use your own preferred method of polishing. You can use a rotary tool or you can just do manual polishing. I prefer to do manual polishing, basically, especially if you already manage to get the knobs or the brass parts in this state, then it's not a lot of work to polish it manually. Let me show you. So you just take a bit of an old rag, take some metal polish, and you just rub it on, and it should go quite fast. See, it's almost already finished, almost, see? Yeah, there we are. There is a small bit here that I still need to do, but you see, if I wouldn't have first done this mixture of salt and vinegar, then this would take me, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes to get it into this condition. Yeah, there is a small part still left there, which I now notice. Yeah, there are some bits from time to time which are really heavily tarnished, obviously, which don't come off immediately because of the chemical reaction of salt and vinegar. But yeah, let's see if this one is coming off. Yeah, it's coming off. Almost gone. Almost gone. Yeah. See, so that's how fast it can go. So I think I'm gonna start using this method now all the time. So first I apply this mixture of salt and vinegar, let it sit for a while, rinse it off, and then the manual polishing goes much faster. See? Well, I think that's more than enough for this video. I hope to see you next time. Yeah, the restoration of the cabinet is quite a huge one, so I will not be. I mean, it's quite normal, I think, that I have to take multiple videos to finish the cabinet. I hope I can finish it in the next video. We'll see. The cabinet in itself now is ready to be varnished, to put some lacquer on it. All the touch-ups and everything have been done, so that will be something for the next video. Yeah, I hope I'll see you in the next video, and in the meantime I'll just keep polishing here. So yeah, see you later, and take care, bye bye.